Welcome to the Gospel of John. We're nearing the end of the Gospel of John, this remarkable book, through the eyes of John, Jesus' friend. And today we're looking at Jesus talking to Peter after he had dramatically denied him 3 times. And here he restores him. Let's read John 21 verses 15 to 19. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." He said to him, "Feed my lambs." He said to him a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Truly, truly, I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself and walk wherever you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go." This he said to show by what kind of death he was going to glorify God. And after saying this, he said to him, "Follow me." So this is Jesus talking to Peter after he had been resurrected. He had done this remarkable miracle of bringing them breakfast, catching fish, getting them to cast the net on the other side, and he seated them down for breakfast. And now he talks almost in a public conversation to Peter in front of the other apostles and asks him 3 times. Remember, Peter denied Jesus 3 times, so he just asks him 3 times, "Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me?" And this is a really important question that I really want to leave you with today. Do you love Jesus? There's many things you could be doing and saying and busy with, but do you love him? That's the greatest command. That's what Jesus said. The greatest command is love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind and soul. Love your neighbors, likewise. But do you love God? That trumps anything that we're doing, any ministry or whatever we're busy with. Can you answer that question today? Do you love me? That was at the heart of Peter's denial, that he had just lost that intimacy, that focus on Jesus. He got all caught up in maybe being a leader or whatever it was, and he suddenly fell out of love with Jesus and he lost that first love. So Jesus challenges him to that. But each question that Jesus asks of Peter, "Do you love me?" he also asks him after his response, "Feed my lambs." So you say you love me. Feed my lambs. They're my body. They're my bride. Feed them. Tend to them. Feed them. You need to feed them. So Jesus is not only worried about the restoration of Peter. He's doing that very gently, very tenderly, but also publicly amongst the 12. Just let the other disciples, the 11 now, because Judas has left them. So he's trying to publicly affirm Peter in his role as leading this group, even though he's fallen. And in a sense, there's no better leader than one who's fallen and been restored, who's had to walk through that and been humbled by this. And humbled people are easier to follow than proud, arrogant, throwing your weight, shouty type people. So here Peter, broken, is restored by Jesus in front of the other apostles. And Jesus is concerned about Peter, but he's concerned about the early church. Will this church survive? He just died for the church. His disciples scattered. So he wants to make sure that the foundations are right. He's looking into the future and seeing Peter leading. And we see in the book of Acts, Peter stands up and addresses the crowds at Pentecost. And even before that, he stands up to address the difficult elephant in the room. What are we going to do with Judas? And he disappeared out of our number. And Peter stands up and proposes that he's replaced. And they replace him with Matthias. And we'll find out about that in the book of Acts that we're going into next. So Jesus affirms Peter, restores him into the disciples, and then he warns him about the future. When you were young, you used to dress yourself And he tells him about how he's going to die. He's going to be bound. He's not going to have control in his last moments. Someone else is going to bind him and dress him and carry him where he doesn't want to go. So in a sense, Peter is being shown that he's going to die a violent death at the hands of cruel people, just like Jesus. And then Jesus says to him, last of all, follow me. And that was the very first word that he said to Peter right at the beginning. Follow me. And that's just Jesus saying, let's just go back to that. Let's start again. Let's start off again. Let's get right. Let's get on a right footing. So I just want to encourage you today. Do you love Jesus? Do you love the Lord? Are you loving him in what you're doing? If there's an emptiness about it, just stop all the other stuff and just get on your knees and just come back, fall in love with him again. Stop all the activity and the meetings and the events that you may be involved in, and just be in love with Jesus. And you'll find that when you re-engage and you start doing things, there'll be a freshness about them. There'll be a gentleness, there'll be a humility, there'll be a compassion in all that you do, because you love God in and through that. You're not driven to do it, but you are being drawn by God's love. You are compelled by the love of God. And would you follow Jesus? No matter where you are right now, if you have not submitted your life to Jesus, if you've not repented of your sin, I call you today, just like you've seen Peter here, repenting and coming face to face with the one that he denied. There is a way back. If you've run away from God, if you've left church, if you've abandoned your faith, come back today to Jesus. He knows where you are. He knows what you've been through, and he loves you the same. And he doesn't want to leave you in that place, that corner, that dark place. He wants you to come back into the light and follow him. So would you follow him today? Amen.